welcome to my channel and what I believe will be my first video. And the first video I am going to post is, of course, the 24 books I want to read in 2024. Now, before I start though, I do want to let you know that most of these books will be the first book of a series, and that is because I am very much in my fantasy era right now. That is like the only thing I want to read mostly, so a lot of these books are fantasy, and they are also the first book in the series for most of these. Well, most, not all, luckily. But most. There's almost no standalone books in this list, which kind of concerns me because my goal for 2024 is 25 books. Yeah, so this is almost my TBR for the year. And considering these are series, there's high possibility that I will not read all of these books. Although I did read 34 books in 2023, so I will be able to read some of them even if I continue on with the series that I've started. I think there's only one book that is not released yet. I think it gets published in April. Not 100% sure, but I will probably put it on the screen. I am going to go by genre. I think I've put everything in the correct genre when I sorted through these books, but if I haven't, if it's in the wrong category, I'm so sorry. I don't know if all of these are in the correct genre because I sort all of my books in Notion, and sometimes I add a book and then I add the wrong genre by accident, and I haven't gone through these to check if it's correct or not. But I think most of these are pretty straightforward. I have one category for fantasy, one for romance, and then I have like one sci-fi book in here. But most of the books will be in the fantasy genre, just so you know, because that is what I'm craving this year, apparently. Oh, and mystery. There's one mystery book in here. Although I love I love mystery books. I just there haven't been a lot of books lately that I haven't read that I really want to read. So yeah, we'll just start. The first book is, I think, the only book on this list that has not been published yet, and that is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Holly Jackson is one of my favorite authors ever. I love A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. It's probably one of my favorite books ever, so I'm really excited for her new book. Yeah, I don't know much about it. I think Rachel Price is the mother of, I don't even remember her name right now. Like, I know barely anything about these books, by the way, that I'm about to show you. I'm just like, oh, that sounds cool. And then all the information about that book just disappears. So I'm so sorry if I can't give you any information about the books. A lot of these books are very popular books, so you probably know about most of these or what they are about. So I'm just not gonna go into a lot of detail. Also because I'm still kind of sick. So the second I say that I've been a little bit sick, I go into a coughing fit. But yeah, I won't be able to talk in length about these books. You probably know of them anyway. But yeah, first book is The Reappearance of Rachel Price, and I don't know the publishing date right now, but I think it's in April. I'll put it underneath the cover of the book because obviously I don't have the book with me. I really want to read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. It's been on my shelf for a while. I think it's fantasy. It says magic on the back, so I'm gonna assume it's fantasy, but I also think it's a mystery book. Don't quote me on it though, because I'm not 100% sure, as always. But yeah, I've been meaning to read this for a long time, and I haven't, so hopefully 2024 is the year I get to this. Next is Belladonna by Adeline Grace, which I've had on my shelf since fall of 2023. I know there's a second book as well to this, so it is a part of a series. Also fantasy, or maybe paranormal, but doesn't paranormal kind of go under I don't actually know a lot about genres, to be honest, if paranormal goes under fantasy or not, but I think it's also mystery. I'm not 100% sure. I really want to get to this because the cover is beautiful. Like, I love the cover. I might be biased because I love purple, so definitely hope I'll get to read this in 2024. Then I want to read The Ivory Key, and this is by Akshaya Raman. Sorry if I butchered the name. This is a part of a fantasy series. I think there's 2 books out. I'm not 100% sure. But I love the cover of this, which is why I picked it up. It's apparently 4 siblings. I thought it was 2 twins, but now that I'm looking at it, there's 2 guys at the back as well, so I assume they're all the siblings. I've never actually looked too closely on this book, except for the front. Yeah, 4 siblings, a country to ruin, one quest to save them all. I really hope this is fantasy, though. I actually don't know if it is fantasy, but it screams fantasy to me, so yeah, I think it is. I hope it is. Then, I have one goal for 2024 when it comes to reading, and that is reading more by male authors. It is a little bit shocking, I know, but most of my books are by female authors. It's just what gets recommended to me. So I do want to read a couple of books from male authors just to like see what the differences are, because a lot of women kind of like shit on male authors sometimes because of how they write, women especially. But I've heard a lot of good things about Brandon Sanderson, so yeah. Also, it's fantasy, and I really want to read fantasy lately, so that... This is the first book in the Mistborn series, which is The Final Empire. I got the entire trilogy for Christmas. His books are thick though. It's intimidating, but I really want to get through at least book 1. And if I like his writing, I really want to read probably all of his books. I don't know. I like his book covers that are in this like white with an accent color. Like I just love the covers. They are so pretty, and I would love to have these on my shelf. Then a book that is part of the series but is not the first book. Well, it's not actually a part of the series, I guess. It's a prequel to a duology that I love. And that is the prequel to the Six Crimson Cranes duology. And this is Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim. And I love her writing. It's just, her books are so cozy, magical. I was so excited to read this. I got it in the mail. I was like, oh my god, finally I can read this. I got it on the publishing day, and I just haven't read it yet. And I really wish I did when I got it. I think I'm just like a little bit scared for this world to end. I don't know if there are gonna be more books in the universe or not. Then I have another first book of a series, which I feel like everyone but me has read, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Again, I feel like everyone has read this except for me. I got this secondhand from a friend of mine who enjoyed book 1, I think, but not enough to continue the series, so I got the entire series from her, and I haven't read it. It's intimidating because I know so many people love this, and I want to love it too, but now that I'm in my fantasy era, I think I'm gonna pick this up soon. Another book that I've wanted for a while, I put it on my Christmas wish list, so I didn't buy it myself in case I got it for Christmas. If I had bought it myself, because I didn't get it for Christmas, by the way. If I had bought it myself before Christmas, when I really, really wanted this, I probably would have read it, but I didn't buy it in case I got it for Christmas. And then I started a new series this year, so I haven't started it. I really want to, but I am in the middle of a series, and I don't know if I want to stop in the middle of the series to read Powerless by Lauren Roberts before I continue on with the series. You will know which series later, but yeah, if it wasn't for me being in the middle of a series right now, this would have probably been the first book of 2024 for me. I got a couple of gift cards for Christmas, so I went straight to the bookstore and got this with one of the gift cards. This is high on my list. It's probably the first book I'm gonna read after I finish the series, or if I take a break in between the books in the series I'm reading. This will probably be read so soon. Like, I don't know what it is about. I think it's just a person that is ordinary in a world with a lot of non-ordinary people. It is fantasy. I saw something about it being kind of like Hunger Games. I'm not sure if it is, but well, we'll see. but I'm really excited to read this. The next book I have had on my shelf since the end of 2021. I got this book when I was still living in Canada and went to college. I bought it on impulse, basically, because I wanted to be one of few people. Well, there were probably a lot of people, but I wanted to be one of the people that had a broken blade by Anonymous, like before the author got announced, which is Melissa Blair. This has been on my shelf since then. She had an entire TikTok page dedicated for this book and people trying to figure out who wrote it because it said just anonymous. It is an assassin book, I think. I also think it has very short chapters, which I love. I hate when a chapter has 30 pages. That is way too long. Apparently there are two more books after this that has been released since I got this, which I didn't know about because I haven't been keeping up with it because I haven't read this yet. Really want to read this because this is probably one of the books I've had on my shelf for the longest that I have not read. Then I want to read The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I actually don't know how you say it, but I really want to read it. I started reading it in 2022. I read, I think, 3 pages or the first chapter, and then I sort of just didn't continue. I don't know why. Maybe I got a book that I really wanted to read there and then I just forgot to continue on it. So really want to read this in 2024 because I did actually start it. I really wanted to read it and then I think I got distracted. Then I want to read One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I think I'm saying that correctly, but I'm not sure. So I saw a lot of hype around this book around the time when Fourth Wing was very popular last year because people said that this was a book similar to Fourth Wing. I've seen now recently that is not true at all. I think people just kind of said that this was a better fantasy read than Fourth Wing, and then people kind of misunderstood and thought that this was similar to Fourth Wing. I'm not actually sure. I barely know what this book is about. I just saw that it was very highly recommended around the time Fourth Wing was popular, and I loved Fourth Wing, so if this is a better read, then I'd probably love this too. Then we have a book that I don't own yet, which is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I feel like everyone loves this book. People say it's a great book. I want to know why people think it's a great book. To me, it sounds boring when I read the blurb on the back. It sounded kind of slow. It just sounds boring to me, but a lot of people say that it's a great book. Then we have Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I've already read this. I finished this yesterday. I got the entire series for Christmas and I decided to start on Assassin's Blade. So I've already read Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass. The second I got this for Christmas, I was like, okay, I'm reading the entire Throne of Glass series in 2024. So that's why it's on the list, even though I've read it. But that just means I'm already on my way to finishing all of these books, right? This is the series that I was talking about earlier that I am in the middle of, and the reason why I haven't read Powerless yet. I like the series so far. Like I've said, I've only read the first book and the prequel novella series. Excited to finish this series, but it is a big series. You can see the rest of the books here, except for Crown of Midnight because I have it over here because I'm currently reading it. But yeah, so this is already crossed off my list of my 24 for 2024, but I thought I'd just mention it anyway. On the topic of Sarah J. Maas, I also want to read A Court of Thorns and Roses. That means Throne of Glass is the first series I'm reading by Sarah J. Maas. Although I know a lot of people say read ACOTAR first. I don't care. I started on Throne of Glass. I'll read ACOTAR later. I want to know what the hype is about, so it's on my list. So is House of Earth and Blood, which is the first book in the Crescent City series. The third book is coming out at the end of January. I will not be able to read these books before then, so I'll just have to be a little bit late to the game, but I do want to read that series as well. I have a lot of friends that are either reading or have read ACOTAR and Throne of Glass, and also the Crescent City series. So I want to be able to read these books that my friends like and have told me to read. So there's a lot of Sarah J. Maas on this 24 for 2024 list. Next is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Was really excited to read this book because a lot of people said this series was amazing. Then I saw a lot of people saying that you should read Caraval first, just for some background information about Jax. Not necessarily about him, but he's a big character in this. So I read the Caraval series. Sorry, my voice is about to die on me. I think I've been speaking for too long. But I read the Caraval series in August, September, around the time we moved into this house. And I like the Caraval series. A little bit disappointed because I didn't feel like all of my questions got answered in the final book. And I know a lot of people have the same issue with the final book in this series. So I am a little bit skeptical to start it. But I know a lot of people love the first two. Especially the second book, I know a lot of people love. So I really want to read it and see for myself. And I think I'm gonna have to take a little bit of break because my throat is dying. So I'll be back. It will be a second for you, hopefully just a couple of minutes for me, but I'll be back. I am back. It's been a couple of hours. My throat would not stop acting up. I'm just gonna continue. Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I also got this secondhand from my friend. The only reason why I haven't started this yet is because the text is so small. Isn't this supposed to be YA? Because I thought YA would have bigger text. That is the reason why I haven't read this yet. Because I know people say it's amazing. I personally think it's gonna be amazing. I just haven't read it yet because the text is so small. Next, we have The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I haven't had this on my shelf for too long. Kind of picked it up on a whim. Like, I've seen it floating around on the internet for a while, and I thought it looked cool. But I didn't plan on buying it when I did, and it's just been sitting on my shelf since. I think the cover is stunning. I just haven't started it yet. Then we move on to romance, and the first book is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I've read 2 of her books, and they're just an easy read for me. I'm surprised I haven't read this one earlier because I was really excited to have it on my shelf. Next, we have Beach Read by Emily Henry. Also an author that I feel like it's just an easy read. Although I didn't particularly love People We Meet on Vacation, I found it to be very slow, and I don't think I like the friends to strangers to lovers trope that much, so I think I'm gonna like this one better. Next up is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I really wanted to read this earlier in 2023. I don't think I've read a sports romance yet, so this would be the first or second. I guess I have another one on this list. I mostly kind of want to get through this now because I want to read Wildfire by the same author. It's pretty. Next up is The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. This is the 3rd book in a series of standalone novels. I read the first 2 books in the series, which is The Kiss Quotient and The Bride Test. I like The Bride Test a little bit better than The Kiss Quotient. As an autistic adult, I just really liked reading books where there's autistic representation. Looking forward to it. Then we have book 23, which is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. So this is the other sports romance that I have on my list. I really like the cover that is mostly green. I don't really like how the pink kind of clashes with the blue. It's kind of painful to look at, but this is the cover that I could find in Norway, so yeah. And then the last book, book 24 for 2024, is also the first book in a series, and it is intimidating, and it is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I believe this is science fiction, which I don't normally read. I like science fiction movies. I should like this. I know that the newer books in this series get kind of thick, so that's why it's a little bit intimidating. But those were my 24 books for 2024. Basically a TBR for the year, since my goal again is 25 books. I do think I will be able to read more than 25 books. I know a lot of these books are mostly popular books that a lot of people have read, and also some of the books are very old, like they were published years ago. So, not a lot of new published books. But I will probably read newly published books this year as well. I haven't actually sat down and like looked at what is getting published this year. I haven't had the energy or time to do that. I do hope that 2024 is a good reading year for me, and I hope it is for you as well if you read. But yeah, that's my 24 books for 2024. And I've already read one of them, so it's a good start. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you later.